Good morning, Fred. Would you like your usual this morning? You remember my usual now? Of course. Decaf cappuccino latte. That's not... Relax, I'm just messing with you. Large coffee with a shot of espresso will be $3.
Here you go, Abe. Hi there, Dolores. Good to see you again this morning.
Oh, hi, Fred. Good to see you, too. Here, why don't you join me? You know, I've been thinking a lot about what you said the other day, and your ideas raised a few more questions.
All right, let's hear what you've got.
Well, you talked about breaking down artificial inequalities, like the caste system in India or nobility in Europe.
Yes, I do see those as obstacles to equality, and therefore obstacles to true freedom.
But wouldn't inherited wealth be another source of inequality?
You could view it to be similar in certain ways, but I think there are a few differences.
Like what?
Unlike the caste system, wealth isn't an intrinsic part of your identity, and it can change based on your decisions. Also, if we took steps to level the playing field and prevented people from inheriting wealth from their parents, how does that impact the rights of parents to choose what to do with their own personal property and resources?
How does it impact their rights?
If we use government power to forcibly prevent parents from passing on money and resources to their children, we are infringing on their right to use their personal property as they see fit, as well as interfering with the dynamics of the family, a social institution that goes back beyond recorded history.
Allowing the state to override the decisions of parents regarding the upbringing of their children significantly interferes with the fundamental rights of parents.
But what about the impact that has on equality and equal starting points?
Well, when two important principles appear to directly conflict, we should weigh the value and cost of the two ideas at stake, and also examine each idea taken to its extreme to see which one we should lean toward. On the one hand, we have the concept of equal opportunity, which, while desirable, would require removing parents, who are inherently unique and unequal, from the equation entirely. You could have the state raise all children institutionally, so that they all start with an equally fair chance.
Well, that would guarantee equality, I suppose.
But at what cost? One thing a state-run institution can't provide to children is love, which is crucial for well-being. So it is impossible for the state to provide both equality and love before we even factor in the naturally unique and unequal strengths and giftings different children have, which would not be nurtured or developed in mass production institutional child raising.
So because it is impossible to raise children with perfectly equal starting opportunities, we shouldn't even try?
Not quite. More accurately, because the developmental cost is too high and risky, we should not deliberately attempt to raise children outside the loving care of their parents when available.
But what about the opposing idea taken to its extreme?
The rights of a parent to influence their own child's upbringing can lead to some controversial places as well. For example, I believe Jehovah's Witnesses have been known to resist letting their children receive blood transfusions on religious grounds, and people have wanted the courts to step in to protect the child's health.
How do you think those situations should be handled?
There isn't necessarily a simple answer, but if they're old enough to understand the situation and communicate an opinion on the matter, I would favor letting them decide.
But aren't children too young to make decisions like that?
Let's look at the alternatives. We could let the courts remove a child from parents who obviously care deeply about them, and force a potentially risky medical procedure on the child against their will.
Well, when you put it like that...
Or we could leave the child to struggle through on their own, even though they want the treatment that their parents disapprove of.
Those seem like the worst case scenarios.
Those are the only potential outcomes that are added by not giving the child the freedom to decide for themselves.
So you think that children should have the right to make all of their own decisions?
No, I think parents should have broad rights to control their children's upbringing. But if their approach is questioned or opposed by society, the preference of the child should usually be honored by whatever arm of the government intervenes in the situation.
But why should parents have the right to control their children's lives in the first place? Where does that right come from?
Nature places children with their parents automatically by birth, and it is their parents' responsibility and natural right to raise them. In America, natural rights are attributed to coming from God, as described in the Declaration of Independence. The government doesn't bestow them in the first place, and therefore doesn't have the authority to take them away without cause.
Okay, but how do those rights affect equality?
Parenting is a personalized process that will never be homogeneous or equal, but prohibiting parents from giving their children any advantages they can in life is a huge violation of their fundamental natural right to raise their own children.
Well, I suppose, but then how are we ever going to achieve equality?
We never will, but achieving equality isn't the same as minimizing inequality, which we can attempt to do in various ways.
I need to get going, but that last thought is at least a little encouraging.
Glad I could help. Have a good day, Dolores.